Tuesday, September 28th, 1909. If Miss Kelly ever reads this book, my face will turn red with shame. Last night my eyes closed in the middle of a sentence. I washed the dishes in our little sink. Teresa and Vito were doing lessons, although the last time I looked, Vito was dozing off. Mama has gone upstairs to take some Zuppa to see Katina, who's feeling poorly again. These days, she only has enough energy to eat soup. The gaslight is dim, but I can see well enough to write about my new job. The shop is on the third floor of an old building. Perhaps 30 or 40 girls work there. Louisa says some factories have hundreds of hands. We had to walk up creaky wooden stairs in a dark hall. The stairs were grimy, and I wanted to hold my nose. The smell was so bad. Louisa led me past an outer room with large tables where a few Jewish men were already at work. The men using the heavy irons were pressers, she told me. Others worked as cutters, bent over large wooden tables and laying out thin paper patterns to cut sleeves or colors using short, sharp knives. We stepped into a large room where girls were just sitting down to their machines. There are 2 long tables, and I counted about 10 or 12 sewing machines on each side. Even though there are some windows on one wall, the room is lit mostly by gaslight. The floor is littered with snippets of thread, remnants of cloth, dust, and lint. The dust tickled my nose and I sneezed. Louisa pushed me to stand in front of Mr. Klein, a bony man with dark hair and smudged glasses on his nose. The boss peered at me. "So, are you the new cleaner, the trimmer? Do you speak English?" "Yes, sir. I went to school for 4 years." He grunted. Suddenly a bell rang and the machine sprang to life. A whir filled the air. I could feel the wooden floorboards under my feet quiver from the vibrations. Needles flashed and jumped, up and down, up and down. The electric current was on. The operatici, the operators, bent to their sewing machines. The girls looked so determined as they guided the cloth under the fast needles. And at the end of the rows, other girls sat trimming threads and stitching collars and cuffs. Mr. Klein turned to snap at a girl in Yiddish who was coming in. I would have been scared, but she simply looked at him calmly. "Go with Sarah," he told me, pointing at her. "Since she is late, she can lose even more time from her work to teach you. And remember, in this shop there's no talking. 10 cents fine if you talk." I was too scared to ask if I could sit near Louisa, but it wouldn't have done much good anyway. The boss frowned and waved us off. I followed Sarah. She looks about 18 or 19. She has curly, dark hair, sturdy shoulders, and flashing brown eyes. All her movements are quick, as if the important things are in her mind are no time to waste. Sarah led me to a table at the end of the row of whirring sewing machines. Louisa sits halfway across the room at the other long table, but Rosa is just a few machines away. Louisa was busy, her head bent, but Rosa glanced up for a second. She smiled, ever so slightly, her head nodded quickly. Mama says Rosa is named well. She's like a flower that brings smiles to people's faces. I think Mama is right. Looking at Rosa makes me feel better, as if she knew my hands were shaking. I had to clasp them together to keep them still. I'm sorry. I have a little bit of cold. Yeah. "You'll sit here near me at the end of this row," Sarah told me. Then she ordered, "Stick out your hands." I put my hands out, hoping she wouldn't notice them trembling. She peered at them closely. "All right, be sure they are clean, always. If they're dirty, you'll soil the cloth and ruin the waist. Understand?" I nodded. Sarah pointed to a pile of shirtwaists. "This is your stint, your pile of work. Now, do you have scissors?" I nodded and pulled out my scissors. She grabbed them. "A cleaner's job is to trim the threads off the finished shirtwaist. Look, cut like this. You can snip threads from the sleeve of the shirtwaist so fast that the blades of the scissors flashed. Go as quickly as you can. Be careful not to let your hands slip. Now do it while I watch." Sarah stood beside me while I snipped the loose ends of the white threads from the insides of the sleeves. First one sleeve, then the other. "All right, but faster. Remember, clean hands, and fast." And so I began. By the time lunch came, my stomach was making little growling noises. I wanted to go outside and walk in the air. Many of the girls sat by my machines to eat. Few whispered quietly. Others left to use the toilet or walk in the hall. Anyway, lunch was only a half hour. I took my roll out of my pocket and nibbled it slowly to make it last. And then it was back to work. Snip, snip, snip. The scissors made my fingers red and sore. I wanted to shake my hand and rub the hurt away, but I didn't dare stop for an instant. No one stopped. Every girl in the room was sewing as fast as she could. Whenever I wanted to stretch, Mr. Clyde was peering over my shoulder. Once he barked, "Don't stop, girl!" The afternoon dragged on. Then, somewhere outside, I heard bells chime 6. I felt sure we would stop them, but no one moved. I couldn't wait to stand up and stretch. Oh, how I wanted to go home. The minutes dragged on. 6, 6:30, 7. Just when I couldn't stand it a minute longer, the machines fell silent. It was 7:30. My eyes were blurry. My back ached. Followed Louisa and Rose at home, hardly knowing where I was walking. We said nothing. Felt a dull pain in my head. My fingers were cramped and sore. We climbed the dark stairs and said good night to Rosa. I asked Louisa if there were overtime pay. She shook her head and told me we were paid by the week, not by how many hours we worked. But she said softly, "We'll get used to it."